Okay, today we're going to talk about a precursor to all training. Very basic, very fundamental technique that we call head dropping. This technique will help you in every phase of using your horse with a bridle, even without. That keeps him soft and relaxed. The only way you can really make a horse relax without putting a needle in a vein. So head dropping is when you take a technique that you use that causes, what we want to do is cause the neck to soften, all of the muscles here. When this is done, then it will transfer to the tongue dropping down in the mouth to where the tongue is below, is just in back of the teeth, where the tongue needs to be to do its basic job, which is protecting the bars from the bit. So unless the tongue is clear down there, the tongue then has a tendency to roll up around the bit and cause all kinds of problems with a horse wearing a bit and a bridle. So that goes away. The whole concept of a horse bracing in the neck, a horse bracing on the lower jaw, if you use this technique, you take all of those negatives out of your training program. So we start here on the ground. You can do it in the barn, in the stall, on a rainy day when you can't be out riding and driving. You can do it anywhere, anytime. So it helps you soften your horse, relax him, getting him comfortable then with the tack, and it's the most important training technique that I know of. So we're going to start. You just put a halter on your horse and a common lead shank, and what we're going to do is take this by the heel with the palm of your hand, and we're going to curl this and pull it right straight up through the throat latch. So your motion is this way, this way. Reward and punishment training. The only way you can reward a horse with a bridle is to turn it loose. So the punishment is using it. The reward is releasing it. So we hold pressure on that that's curled upward through the throat latch until the horse relaxes his neck. When he does, the head will drop. And you continue through this process. Initially it will be in stages. Then after the horse learns this, you just pull up on that, touch it, and down the head goes. An important concept in this is that the nose must touch the ground in order for the tongue to be down against the back of the teeth where it needs to be to relax the tongue. So we're relaxing neck, tongue, and lower jaw, all in one technique. Curl up and hold it until the horse releases his neck. And the head must go clear down, clear down, clear down. So pull up, hold it until the horse releases his neck, and it goes clear to the ground. Now this horse has had this done, so he's sensitive to it. And it's important in training that we always allow a horse to graduate. So when you get out first time on a colt that you're saddle breaking, and you haven't done this, you get on there, you do horse wrestling 404 until you can control him with the bit. If you do this from the ground and you teach him this now, you never have to have that wrestling match when you get in the saddle and get on his back. He already knows about that. And it makes him relax. It makes him relax. He doesn't have a choice. It's not a choice he makes. This is physiological. It's not behavioral the way we do training otherwise. So this, and hold till we get the drop. And then what you teach a horse from one side you must also teach them from the other. So put it on this side, same technique, hold, 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 and you see him resisting. Hold until he releases, and then the head goes down. If you start with this, you never have a horse fighting the tack when you're trying to teach him other things. You can do it on a rainy day. You can do it when you can't ride and can't drive. You can do it in the barn. You can do it in a horse trailer at the horse show. I never put a horse in a class that I haven't done this before I went to the class. And you start every day with this. And once you get the horse to where he knows it, then you put your halter on to get him out of the stall. You put your lead on. You drop his head like this. And this is as long as it takes to review the technique. So your horse wrestling 404 becomes this that you do before you get on, and you never have to then deal with that behavior while you're trying to teach them, all right, I'm a body, I'm on your back, I weigh something. When you move, you have to take me with all of those things that they have to learn too. It uncomplicates the learning process. The most important thing that you can teach a horse that you're trying to train. Then when you're on his back or when you're in a carriage, you can't pull, curl up and drop down, but he becomes sensitive enough that when you pull back on the rein, you get the same exact behavior. And so then you can sit on his back or sit in the cart. Driving horses, saddle horses, they have a hard time going to the show initially because they can do the ring work all right, but when you get to the lineup, your horse is nervous and fussy and he has to be still. Well, if you can relax him, you can make him be still. So you're on his back or you're in the cart, you just do this with a rein and it makes him release his neck, relax, and the horse that would not be still in the lineup all of a sudden has no problem with it. And judges, people in the audience, onlookers, even other horsemen won't even know you're doing this. They won't know that you're relaxing your horse because it's a pretty invisible technique. You'll find that when you're visiting with your friends, when you're getting your horse ready to do his workout and you bring him out and you do this, they think you're just visiting. They don't know that you're preparing your horse for a workout. Important. Somebody brings a horse to our place, and they unload him in the parking lot, we bring him in the barn, he learns this before he ever goes to the stall. It's that important. So every day before the workout, every class before the class, everything you do, anytime your horse is tense, it's this, or the only alternative is a needle in the neck, and that's not horse training. That's just not horse training. This is horsemanship. Okay, this is another horse. This horse isn't as sensitive to that technique as the last one we saw, although it has had this. And I want to review with you that when you start this with your horse, this pulling and holding is going to be a long process, and it's going to take some muscle because you hold until you get a release. Remember, it's reward and punishment, so you only reward the performance you want, which is the release. So you hold until you get the release. The instant you get the release, you reward it by releasing yourself. So if you're working with a quieter natured horse, it's going to be a slower process. Arabs are pretty quick in their nature. So with an Arab or a saddlebred or a Morgan or one of the hotter blooded lighter breeds, you're going to get a quicker response. If you're working with a horse that's quieter in nature, the response initially is going to be slower, but it will come. There's no horse that has a choice in this. He must do it. It's not a choice he makes. So we pull and hold. We got to release. She's too good, she remembers, and anyhow, she wants to eat grass. So you just do it again. The grass can be your friend in this, actually. You hold till you get a release, and all this other behavior we don't reward. The way you reward it is to release. And so if you're not getting a behavior you want, you just simply don't reward it. And then they say, well, what does he want, and how do I make the rest of that go away? Pull and hold. There's resistance, but eventually there's resistance, but eventually there's that. And this is the only thing we reward. You only reward the performance that you want. Then another technique that develops as a result of this behavior is called flexion of the pole. So we want the pole to flex, but we don't want the head to drop. So we simply ask for the pole to flex by pulling and holding, and we don't reward the horse dropping its head. Initially, it'll be a little confused about that, but it's simple. You only reward the behavior you want. So we're going to ask for the pole to relax. We're not rewarding the drop, just the flexion of the pole. Then when that flexes, we reward it. We do it again. Don't reward the drop. And we get flexion. And you see the horse stepping back? That's normal. When that horse does that, to step out of your field of control, you don't reward that either. That horse moves its feet, you say, no, step up here in my world. This is where we're working today. Rewarding only flexion, not dropping. Bringing it back into our field of control. Otherwise, if you just let it step back, that's what you're teaching it to do, step back. Now I'm going to let it drop its head and relax everything. Then we do it also from the offside. No, come here. See the tongue moving, trying to find a place, trying to relax, trying to get comfortable. That's normal for this. So if you take the antithesis of that and you say, all right, if it's moving its tongue, that's not good. Its tongue's not in the right place. When the tongue quits moving and the mouth gets quiet, the tongue is in the right place. So that's your measure. You don't teach any skills you don't measure the quality of. There, now we're getting flexion, hold, release, bring it back into your world. Come here. Huh? Come here. Come here. Good. And that bouncing, that's resisting what you're asking for the horse to do. So this may take, I don't care if it takes a week. It'll earn you a year. So if you want this horse to be good with the bridle, you take the time to do this until that head quits bouncing when you touch that bit. And it will eventually. Horses, they aren't going to do what, they're not stupid. They're not going to do what isn't going to make them money. So if you keep asking for this, they'll quit bouncing on that eventually. Be patient with that. And while we're talking about this, there's another approach to a horse that I think a lot of people miss. If you walk up to a horse that you're going to have a relationship with, you walk up into that horse's space and you say, I'm here, horse, so I guess you're going to have to be someplace else. If you don't have that kind of a relationship, you're working for the horse instead of the horse working for you. And it's no different than, Cindy, come here. In different cultures, this works differently. But if you were the horse and I'm approaching you and I want to have a relationship with you that puts me in control, I'm going to walk up to you, the horse, and I'm going to say, hi. Mm-hmm. And you see how you step back? That's normal. So you want for that horse to gain that respect for you as the training master. You just don't want it to happen in a forceful way. Mm-hmm. So you occupy that space that makes that horse uncomfortable initially, and then they realize, I'm working for that gal. I'm not working for me. And then the rest of these behaviors become easier to control. So, again, we drop the head to start with. Eating's okay. Secondly, we want this horse to flex at the pole, so we ask, it steps back, we say, no, come into my world. Yeah. And only reward what you want. Flexion. Give this time to get quiet and relaxed. And the final thing of review is that initially this is about muscle. If you allow the horse to graduate in his training, the consummate rider and driver looks like the passenger, looks like they're not doing anything. The only way you can cause that to happen is to be lighter with your signal. So eventually, we want to get this to where we just curl this up and have the very lightest touch and let the horse respond. If you don't teach it to respond with a light touch, you're allowing it to graduate. So we want them to graduate. That's what lighter is.
Do that sentence over. If you don't, because you're banging your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. If you don't work with the lighter touch and allow the horse to graduate, they never get lighter in the bridle. So start out, muscle it till it happens, but then see how little signal you can give to cause what you want to happen. That's what makes the consummate horseman.